Okay, so let's get started. We're going to be taking a look in this training module at how to create custom PID logging channel lists within our VCM Scanner software. So if we're doing something like tuning for idle control or full throttle or part throttle cruise, whatever the case may be, we want to log specific channels and log them at specific sampling rates, as well as making sure that we have the correct unit scale selected for our logging channels. So there's lots of little details here we're going to cover in this training module. Now I'm supplying in our training course folder custom PID logging channel lists for specific tuning tasks that we'll be using in various different tutorials in our training course here. So what I'm going to cover in this tutorial may or may not be something you have to be super concerned with, but if you want to modify my PID logging channel list that I supply, or if you want to just create your own, you need to know how to work with this and understand what's going to go on the software. Now, it's pretty simple, but there are some kind of quirky things in the software that you need to be aware of that I'm going to try to go and just cut down on that learning curve here. So that's ultimately the idea of this tutorial, is just to make sure you can get started using your scanner software and be as efficient as possible as soon as possible. Okay, so the first thing I want to point out here is the PID logging channel list. We mentioned this in the last tutorial, but our logging channel list is going to be found over here on our left side of the screen. And we can find that these channels are going to be what we data log when I click the record button up here. So this is going to be essentially everything that I'm capturing to a file that I can play back later and analyze the data. Now we want to make sure that these channels are going to be specific to what we want to see. So we don't want to just log generic channels like this, or various different channels that don't necessarily apply to what we're doing. So for example, if I'm doing idle control tuning, I'd want to go in and select specific channels and not select a lot of other channels. Now we have hundreds of channels to actually potentially data log within our logging software, but we want to be very specific. We don't want to log too many channels because it's going to do two different things. One, is going to slow down our overall logging rate, number of samples we're able to collect in a data log, which it could cause us to lose things in the data log. We could find tiny little lapses of time that aren't capturing what we want to see. Also, the log file size will get really, really large, and it's just going to be cumbersome and file management. So we want to make sure that we're being specific with this, so we have proper logging, we have fast logging, and our file size isn't too large. So taking a look here, what I have currently loaded in my channel list is a mix of both the manufacturer-specific logging channels and SAE channels. We can see here anything that has SAE by this is a generic channel. Anything that doesn't have SAE, this is a manufacturer-specific channel. If we actually go here to our recent channel configs, we go down here to the bottom, we can load all SAE defaults. These are going to be all SAE channels that you would find if you hooked up a generic scan tool to your OBD2 port and you're trying to take a look at data. So this is going to be what you'd actually find. Now these SAE channels are standardized across pretty much all vehicles. So that allows you to take that generic scan tool and scan these PID channels. These aren't useful, and they actually will slow down our overall logging. So if you're finding that you have a mix of SAE channels and manufacturer specific channels, then you may find that your data log is going to not log as fast and as efficient as if you just had all manufacturer specific channels. So if I actually go back in here, we can do the load vehicle defaults. This is what HP Tuners is going to populate for my specific vehicle here. It knows that it's a 2022 Ford Mustang Mach 1, so these channels it knows they can load, and it'll be at least something to take a look at in terms of data capture. Now this is not going to be anywhere near enough and anywhere specific enough of channels to do our tuning task, but it does cut down and gets rid of a lot of those generic channels. So we still find that we have a mix of vehicle manufacturer channels and SAE channels, which is definitely not ideal. Now, sometimes we have to log an SAE channel because there isn't a vehicle manufacturer specific channel available. But again, I try to avoid that whenever possible. So what we're going to do here is replace our channels that we find in here with channels that we want to go in and select based on our vehicle. Actually, what I want to do here is just power on my vehicle right now. My MPVI2 cable is plugged into the OBD2 port, which is plugged into my laptop. I want to make sure that I'm doing a repoll for supported parameters before I go in and create a specific logging channel list in here. We want to make sure that we're not missing any data channels. So if I go up here to the connect button, We can see right here, hit connect. This is going to connect me to the vehicle. Then we can go to vehicle and click repoll for supported parameters. We can see it's going to be detecting the supported parameters. These are all of the specific logging channels that we have available. Now, it's important to always do this anytime you plug into a new vehicle to make sure that you're not potentially missing channels that the scanner may not otherwise detect. Essentially, by doing the repoll option, it's essentially refreshing what the scanner is going to be interfacing with your vehicle and making sure that it understands all of the channels that are available. If you don't do the repoll and you're bouncing your cable between vehicle to vehicle, let's say you're going from an older Mustang to a newer Mustang, a Gen 3, you may be missing channels, especially if you're going from a GM to your Mustang, whatever the case may be. If you're bouncing between different vehicles, that repoll is critical, because when we're going in and we want to go in and select these add channel option, we may be missing channels because the scanner software doesn't necessarily pick up on all of the available channels. So the repoll is super critical. It's a step that you always want to perform. Okay, so I want to go in and...
Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.